So here I'm going to show you how to create a EC2 instant Amazon AWS EC2 instance, and then how to create a file system, elastic file system, EFS, and how to mount the elastic file system onto the EC2 instance. So first thing you do is you log into the console, that is the AWS console, and then you go into the services and you select EC2. So this is what it shows up, and then you go to instances. I mean, if you have any instances running, it'll show up there, or if you want, you could just, for this tutorial, actually, you would launch an instance. And I hope that you already have a key pair. If not, you could actually create it prior to this as well. I'm going to show you that as well in this tutorial. So the first thing is you select the machine that you want, the Linux machine that you want. It could be, I mean, it could be Linux or it could be Windows, but you could select, like, normally we go for this one, the Amazon Linux, because that's the one that is given the walkthrough as well by AWS. So that's the one that we're going to select. And since this is a free tier, so you just have one option here. So that's the one that we choose, and then you go to configure instance details. So here it's really important that you have a VPC initially. I mean, you already have one here by default, but you could even create one. There's a tutorial even for that, a walkthrough even for that. If not, you could just select the VPC here by default and just try to make a note of this, because this is what will even help you when you're doing the EFS, that's the elastic file system, and even when we are mounting the elastic file system. So then this thing you could just select whichever is in your area. Like normally it's for us, it's US West 2A, so that's the one that I'm going to select here. And the rest of the things, just leave it as it is, leave them to be defaults. And next you add storage. You don't do anything on this, it's just the same. Then you name your instance, whatever instance you want to name, test, EFS, configure security group. So here the security group, actually you could even add some rules, because this is by default, these are the security groups, or these are the rules actually that are already in there. This actually this controls the traffic to your instance, and you could definitely add some rules, and you could even specify the IP addresses that you want to give access to for your instance. But for now, we're just going to leave it as default. And remember the name of the security group here, that's launch wizard 9, and you could even change it. You could just change it to launch 1. Right, that's the security group. Just need to remember that. And then review and launch. So here we are. So we just go ahead and then we launch it. Yeah, and here then you could actually choose an existing key pair. You can create a key pair previously, and you can just use that, or you could even create a new key pair here, but I just have created one, so I'm going to go with that, and that's the name of it. And just then you launch instances. So meanwhile the instances get launched, I mean, you just get a confirmation that your instances are launching. Right here you get a confirmation that your instances are now launching, and just click on that view instances, and here you see that it's pending. Since the state is still pending, it means that it's still trying to launch the instance, and it's trying to set everything for the instance to work properly. But by the time you could just make sure that everything is in there, like the key name, that's the key pair that you've given, just make sure that it's in there. I mean, the name is correct and everything else, and your security group, whatever security group that you have assigned. And here down here you have the description of the complete instance. That's your instance. There's an instance ID, there's a public DNS. This is very important, because this is the name of your computer. Actually, this is the name of your instance that you normally use. And then you have the security groups, That's launch wizard 8. Okay. Yeah, so now that it's running, what you could do is just select that, uncheck that, select this one, go to actions, and go to instance settings. Now go to networking, then select change security groups. So here, I mean, the one that you had assigned to this particular instance was launch one. Here you see, I mean, these are some of the other ones that I've created previously, but this is the security group that you have already launched. I mean, that you have already assigned to this instance. So then you even select this one. This is by default VPC security group. You select that, and then you say assign security groups. And just make sure once you do that, down here in the description, you should see two of them. That's the launch one that you had initially created for, and this is the one that you had selected just now in the actions. So that's all you have to do for your instance. I mean, the instance is created, your instance is created, and everything is perfectly set. The other thing you just need to make sure of, your VPC ID, that is this here, right here. Make sure that you have this VPC ID here and the public DNS. Right, so that's how you would do. That's how you would create a instance, and this is something that is important if you're trying to, I mean, try to create the file system and mount it using this instance. So next, what we are going to do is we are going to see how to. We are going to go to the next step, that is creating a file system. So the Elastic file system, basically it is something like the drive that you could always mount whenever, and once you create this file system and mount it on your instance, you can always, I mean, it's always mounted. Like even if you stop the instance and again, start it back on, it's always mounted. And so that's how it goes. Next, we are going to go into the services, select services, and there you have the Elastic file. I mean, I've been using it, so that's why it shows up here. Or you could just do all AWS services, and that is one way that you could do it. Or the other way is go to the storage and content delivery, because Elastic file system is a storage. So there you could just do that. So then it takes some time to give, I mean, for the dashboard, the Elastic file system dashboard to come up. So this is your Elastic file system dashboard, or this is where you start creating the file system, and you basically create it and then you mount it onto the instance. So first step is creating your file system. So click on that, and this is by default. I mean, this thing, unless until you have created one and you want to use that particular VPC, then make sure that it's in the list. If not, if you're not created any VPC, and if you just want to go with the one by default, because make sure that the default is the same as the one that you had in EC2 instance. Normally it's the same, but just for clarification, as I had previously said, that you need to make a note of the VPC ID and the DNS. So you just check, you compare the VPC ID with the VPC here, and if it's correct, then you don't have to do anything. So next, you would actually make sure that all these three boxes are available. All these three boxes are checked. This is just that it's trying to create a file system in every availability and in every zone, so that you could actually use these file systems in multiple zones, multiple availability zones. So I mean, you could go through the document for that, for exactly understanding this, but for the tutorial, actually just make sure that all these three are checked, and that's all you have to do. You just say next step, and here you could just name a file system, EFS1, and the performance mode here, it would just be general purpose, because this is like, if you don't have too much of I mean, if this is general purpose, because if there are not too many instances that are going to use this file system, then it need not be max IO. Max IO is basically, as you can see here, it's a performance mode and it's optimized for applications where a lot of instances are going to access this file system. So at max IO is only if you want a real high throughput. But for now, for our case, it's just going to be general purpose. And then you say next step, make sure the EFS name is correct and the VPC ID is correct here, and all it's available in all the 3 zones. And then just say create file system. So it's just going to create the file system. And okay, once the file system is created, you can just see that the file system is now created. Make a note of this file system ID, because this is what you need in the next step, that is where you are going to mount your file system onto the EC2 instance. So now we are going to go to the next step, that is how to connect your Amazon EC2 instance and mount the Elastic file system. So there are multiple ways that you could connect to your file system, connect to your EC2 instance. So let's look at the first. Let's look at one of these. You could. This is the easiest way out. That's how I do it. Just go to the EC2 instance, to your dashboard. You see here there are 2 running instances. You click here on instances, and the one that you had created, just check that and you say connect. And then here it gives you exactly what you have to do. You don't have to do anything here, like you just copy paste all that is given here and you get connected to your instance. So what you do is, first of all, you need to copy that, because this is your the key that you created, and that is already, you have already saved that. So you copy that here. Sorry. And you just paste that in here. So now and then you connect to your instance using its public DNS. So that's what we are going to do. SSH I example, that's the one. You just have to copy this, because this all is specific to your own instance. This is the name of the public key pair, the key pair that you created, and this is already saved. When you create a new key pair, that is when it asks you to download and save the key pair and the key actually, and that's what you save. And then you change the permissions on that, chmod 400, and then you move on and you connect to your instance using this command here. It's exactly the same thing. This EC2 user, that's the user that it gets connected to, and EC2 54, that's the name of the that's the public DNS, or that's the name of your instance. So you just copy that, you say yes there. Are you sure you want to connect? Yes. So now you are logged into the instance. Now you're connected to your instance. Basically, you're working out of the instance. You're working on your machine now. So next, you could actually install the NFS client, because EFS, the Elastic File System, works on the NFS client. Like, it's pretty similar to the NFS file system. The NFS system. So that's what we're going to do. Just normally, like the Amazon Amazon, the AMI, the Linux, the Amazon Linux AMI that we have chosen, has the NFS client, but it's better to just make sure, just to install it once again. Sudo yum y install NFS -utilities. Okay, it's already installed, and as you see, it's already installed and latest version, so there's nothing to do. So next, what you do is you create a directory, let's say EFS. So you create the directory, and that is where you're going to actually mount your file system. the EFS, that is where you're going to actually mount your file system. All right. So the next thing to do is, the easiest way to actually mount it is go to your Elastic file system, and here if you see EC2 mounts instructions, it's just the same thing. You have done that already. So then you just copy that there, because this whole thing actually captures everything. Like, it captures the file system. Here if you see, I'm just going to show you shortly. I'm just going to copy that and go to my instance and shift insert. So here if you see closely, that's the file system ID. That one there, that's the file system ID, and that's the region US West 2 dot Amazon AWS. So that's the file system ID. So that one will always keep changing. I mean, if you create a new file system and you do it, then again it keeps changing. So just do that. It just takes a little bit of time. So now it's already in there. So the file system is already mounted. So you do cd EFS. So that's the, you have created the directory that you created. You just cd'd into that, and sorry, and then you just create another directory in that. Let's say get started, and you change the ownership on that, CHO/WN CHON EC2 user. That's the name of the user, because if you remember here you see it's EC2 user. That's the name of the user. In case if you end up changing the user, if you create a new user and if you end up changing the user, like you don't use the EC2 user and if you use some other user, then you would have to change the permissions here as well for that particular user. And then you say get started, sorry, oops, sudo ch, oh sorry, that's like, I'm sorry, that's my bad. It's CHOWN, right? All right, and then you do the ch get started. There you are. And you, let's say you just create a test text file, and if you see NSAL, there you can see the following file was created, and you could see the user, like the EC2 user. That's what, because the you changed the permissions here. You made this, like for this folder, actually you made the user to be EC2 user. So that's why you see the user as well as the group to be EC2 user. So that's it. I mean, you've created the file system and you are able to mount the file system onto your instance. So next thing, I mean, it's always better to clean up your resources and to protect your AWS account. So first thing you do is you just do cd, so you get out, and then you sudo unmount EFS. What's wrong? Umount, sorry, not unmount, umount, yeah. So you mount that. Then again you go into your delete, you mount that, and then you go into your file system. Then here you select it, and then in the actions you say delete the file system. So just make sure that you're not a robot. It asks you to enter the name of the file system, and that's FS1E827 CB7 So then you say delete the file system. So the progress, it's in progress, though deleting the file system is in progress right now. So once this gets deleted, what you could do is actually you could go to the, yeah, I'm just going to show you that. You could just go to EC2 instance, sorry, uh, click on instances here, check the one that you just created, go to actions, instance state, and terminate it. Yes, please terminate. So that is done, and then so till that goes on, go in here, and here this is the one that you need to delete the security group as well. You just, I mean, make sure that it's not the default one, the VPC default security group. Just check the one that you just had, delete the security group. Yes, please delete that. Okay, it says because the instance has not yet been terminated, I guess. So once it gets terminated, you could do that step to create it. All right, I hope that was a good demo and you've understood it. Thanks a lot.